Hello, people. This is Good Nature Kitty, and I'm back for another weekly vlog. And I'm hoping this is my second time trying to create a video because my first one, the sound didn't come through. So I'm hoping it comes through this time. Um, I'm gonna keep the mic close to my face just to be safe. I know my husband's gonna be getting a filter, so things will work better hopefully when that happens. But man, did I cut out a lot in that first video. And I was kind of iffy about some of the things I said in anyway. I was feeling a little self-conscious. So I'm kind of glad I listened over that video and took it off there. But, basically what I talked about is misunderstandings when you have mental illness, and it happens quite often that you get misunderstood, or people, maybe just, loved ones especially, they'll get to a point where they worry about you and maybe they shouldn't worry quite as much. Like, things happen when you have mental illnesses and you go through a lot of hardships and everything. The last thing you want is your family members worrying about you to begin with, or getting angry with you, or misunderstanding why you do the things that you do. A lot of misunderstandings could lead to people thinking that maybe you're going through a harder time than you are. I think I notice that people, they'll be more concerned with my moods more often, and they'll question things more often. I mean, just last Sunday, I had a lady at church who, she means well, but she asked me if I'm okay, and I said, "Yeah, I'm okay." And she says, "Are you sure?" And I was okay at that point, and I said, "Yeah." I said, "Why?" And she gives me this funny look, and I finally said, I'm tired is all." Because that night I had a hard time falling asleep. I mean, you can't really blame me at this point because it's finals week. So I'm losing sleep over things, thinking I gotta get this done, I gotta get that done. I'm gonna be a little tired looking, but people who know that I go through depression, they might misconceive it as, oh, she's depressed and she needs our help. And it can be so tiring when people think that way. Um, and so anyway, a lot of what brings this discussion up is also something that happened with my sister. And I love my sister and everything. I wonder if I need to bring this up. But sometimes we don't always see eye to eye, and so a lot of times she doesn't always understand what's going on, or why I am the way I am and everything. She can worry about me too at times when maybe she doesn't need to, and I think lately she had been worrying about me, and so our conversations because of it have been a little not where I want them to be necessarily, including the last conversation we had, the last talk we had. At one point, our conversation kind of took a bad turn. And she ended up uttering something that really just kind of put me in a bad place. Because, I mean, I kind of got onto a subject that maybe I shouldn't have discussed with her, but I didn't think it would go so sour. Just at one point I mentioned that I don't really trust doctors. And I don't know, part of what brought that conversation up was something she's discussing about a friend, and friend went through something and she's feeling better now and she's getting over it and stuff. And yeah, just she kind of, I think she was worried about the fact that I said I don't trust doctors, and so I had brought up what had happened to me when I was having girly issues. Like, I was, I was having severe issues with my monthly and everything, and I had blood for 3 months straight, and I went to a doctor, and they put me on birth control, which turned out to be a bad move for me, for two reasons. One, when you do have mental illness and you're put on birth control, it can kind of mess with you and cause you to be a little more suicidal, not which is definitely not good. And the other is, it it worked for a little bit, I would say, for like 2.5 weeks. I was off my period and things went fine, and then all of a sudden, I it was nonstop. Like I was bleeding really heavily. Um, and I would talk to the doctors and tell them that that's going on, and they'd say, "Oh, you just gotta give it a chance. It's still trying to work through." And then I met with my gynecologist for the first time, and she was the same way. She's like, "You can't expect instant results," and it's like, but do you not get it? Before I was on this stuff, I was on my period for 3 months straight, and now I'm even heavier and it's even worse. And she just wouldn't listen. I tried to talk to her about nutrition too, because I started getting interested in nutrition, and I started eating healthier and started noticing better results with myself and certain things. And she would dismiss anything I said about it. And at one point she even said, "Well, we checked your blood and you're fine. You're not missing any nutrients or anything." And I got to the point where I finally just, I stopped taking the birth control. I never picked up the prescription that she had set me up for another medicine she was going to put me on. And I never did go back to see her after 3 months like I was supposed to, because I was tired of her. And it just put a bad bad experience into my life on what doctors can be like. And I know not all doctors are like that. I even know that there's a doctor that I'll probably go to if I ever have to go to another one again in the future, because he was recommended by somebody who also is really having healthy. In fact, she's actually a vegan, and she says that this guy will talk to you about nutrition, and I like that idea. So, anyway, yeah, so she misunderstood a lot of what I was saying about how I don't trust doctors, and which is weird because you think about it, a lot of people don't trust doctors. You're kind of putting your life in their hands and everything, or your situation in their hands, and a lot of times they just try to resolve things by putting you on medication that doesn't even help. It sucks. But she ended up uttering the words, "What has gotten into you lately?" And that really hurt me. And even worse than that, as I got anxious from her saying that, and I started ranting about things, she started shutting me out, and she wasn't responding to me. And that frustrated me too. And so I ended that conversation feeling like kind of bitter. I tried to make it sound like I wasn't bitter when I ended the conversation. I was like, "Well, I'll let you go, and such and such." But it kind of made it to where I haven't really talked to her on the phone since. But I'm getting over it. I'm starting to overlook it and stuff. But it's frustrating, when these things happen, because especially because I've been making a lot of progress in my life. I've been working on improving my mental health. It doesn't happen overnight, that's one thing for sure. It takes a lot of practice to overcome some of the symptoms that you have and everything. And when people, they don't deal with mental illnesses themselves, they don't really understand that fact, and so misunderstandings occur a lot, a lot, a lot. And some of the worst things is when people, they pity you, or they worry about you. They tell you they're worrying about you, um or they get angry with you and they don't feel like you're trying hard enough. Just it's frustrating. Um so but in the long run, I've always had a situation where I have to learn to assert myself. Being assertive, I think, is very necessarily very in these situations, and that it's taking practice, I guess. I don't know if I'm really making that much progress in becoming assertive. Sometimes I feel like I do make progress. I guess I'll really prove myself if I can just assert myself to my sister and tell her, that really hurt. I just got to come to a place where I can do that. But yeah, I don't know. And in the long run, I know I can't really, how do I put it? Really allow myself to lose progress over something that she says or does regarding who I am. I've got to keep on trucking. I've got to keep trying and gotta just analyze and know deep within myself that I am making progress, even if someone else doesn't see it. And it's not like I see her a lot, so I guess she wouldn't really be able to know if I am changing for the better or not. Um, all she gets is little bits and pieces of whatever conversations we do have, however brief they may be. Um, and it's hard just for the fact that I don't have a lot of family left. Um, with my dad and my mom dead, it's mainly her and I. We're kind of all we have, and so I just have to also learn. And I've had to time and time again just learn to accept for who she is, because she isn't someone who completely gets where I'm going with a lot of things. It's always been that way since we were kids. She's always struggled to understand why I freak out about some things or why I get depressed about others. And we
Powering off.
we worked through a lot of it just the same. That might be what makes us so special as sisters, is just having worked through those things. Um, and I think another thing that could be noted with having people who misunderstand you is that's probably why it's so important to try to have people in your life who do understand where you're coming from. I think that's why it's good when they have like group therapy sessions and stuff. Why it's such a good means of therapy, because being able to know that you're not alone. I mean, you can come to feel so alone when it comes to people who don't get it. So it's nice to have people who have been there, and sometimes they'll just sit there and listen. And every now and again, you'll get somebody who's been in that exact situation, and they'll tell you that, and they might give you some ideas as to what they did to overcome it, and it's so helpful. I'm a big supporter of group therapy, honestly. I'm thinking whenever I do get my degree in counseling or art therapy or whatever I get my degree in, um, I do want to work in group therapy sessions. I want to facilitate those sort of things more so than, say, like one-on-one therapy, because it I've been through group therapy times, and I feel like it's been more effective in some ways than one-on-one sessions, but I think both of them are necessary. Just the same. But anyway, I don't know if any of you listening to this have been misunderstood like that, who or had to deal with family members who just don't quite get where you're trying to go with things, or they mistake things, or they just think that maybe you're not making progress when you're trying your hardest. All I can say is um just try to be your number one support. Definitely look towards others who've been there, and remember that there are others out there who've been. Um, I think we all try our hardest in everything that goes on in our life, whether people recognize that or not, and that's important to realize. Um, yeah. But anyway, that's about all I have to say. I'm hoping that the audio comes in on this one much better. Um, if not, I don't know. As I said, my husband is gonna get a filter for our mic. He's even thought about getting a different type of mic, and maybe we should if this isn't coming in. I don't know if it's from the fan in the background. Maybe it's cutting it out or something. Usually it comes in better. I hope this comes in though. But anyway, I thank you guys for listening. Bye bye.